recently there was an interview with Francis Ford Coppola. And he did the exact same thing you did. He points to Barbie, he points to Oppenheimer, and he says this is the beginning of a golden age of Hollywood. And his point is you've got two movies. They're not sequels. They're not prequels. They don't have anything previous attached to them. Barbie is an IP, of course, you know, with the dolls stretching back many, many decades. But as far as a movie goes, there's been nothing to compare it to say, oh, well, of course, this is going to be a surefire hit in a producer's eyes. So Coppola's argument is because you've got these two movies, because you've got people coming out in droves to see them and breaking records, he says that finally Hollywood's going to learn its lesson. It's going to make original films based on original stories. It's going to let the artists take over, and it's going to be a golden age. What do you think of that, Dave?
I read this. What's his name again?
Francis Ford Coppola.
Who's he? What has he done? Anything I'd be familiar with?
Yes. He directed a small indie film called The Godfather. I don't know if you saw that.
I've ate at their pizza place, and it's delicious.
Okay.
But I've never had Mr. Coppola's films. No, I read that article, and it's interesting. I don't agree. I think that, well, maybe saying I don't agree is not the right. I think that people are consuming movies in different ways, and I don't know if if the genie's going back in the bottle. I think people are now used to streaming. I think people are used to seeing them at home. I think they're tired of paying the insane theater prices for the theater experience. I know that because I was someone who loved the theater experience and wanted to go all the time, and now, you know, it's reserved for special occasions, and it better be really good if I'm going to go drop the... After a couple, you know, everybody beats us. We all know it's outrageously expensive, so it has to be good, and not enough of them are good to justify it. And the experience at home is really good. So I am not. I think it's supposed to go into a golden age. I would say I think we're going to see smaller, less expensive productions where the risks are less for the studio, and they don't need to make $1 billion or $500 million to be successful. If they made $200 million, that would be successful because they did it on a budget of 60 to 80 million with a $30 million marketing budget. And if they can, you know, get a, you know, $80 million profit on that somewhere, then that's going to be okay, right? There's still always going to be those big, there will be popcorn movies, and I think there will be those event movies, but I think that you're going to see a handful of those, and you're going to see the rest of it kind of smooth out. So I like I like his sentiment. I don't see the logic in it because we had other films this year that I don't think Hollywood's going to get that lesson. I don't think that there's enough. I don't think that there's enough original creative new stuff out there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I could be totally wrong, right? And this Coppola fella probably knows a thing or two more about movies than I do.
Well, you know, he's got a few under his belt.
He sells wine, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
Oh.
Yeah. That may be the other place you've seen his name. But let me speak to this a little bit because I think you hit on the real crux here. Is that I don't know that Hollywood's going to learn that lesson. Hollywood has a history of learning the wrong lesson from success. And so what I predict is going to happen is we're going to see a slew of not nearly as good biopics and a slew of not nearly as good toy to movie pictures. I think that's as far as these executives can see. Oh, Barbie made a lot of money. Oppenheimer made a lot of money. Get me an Einstein film. Get me a who made penicillin. Get me a film about him. Let's do that. And they're not going to be Chris Nolan films.
Jonas Salk made penicillin. Mr. F.F. Coppola. Did I say your name right? Jonas Salk.
So I worry that that's what Hollywood is going to learn now. To play devil's advocate and to say, here's a reason that Coppola may be onto something. I do think it's phenomenal that Oppenheimer in 70 mil IMAX has been record breaking to the point that they've extended its run. They've pushed Tom Cruise's little mission movie out further, which I'm sure ticks him off to no end. But Oppenheimer's making huge money in 70 millimeter IMAX. And what that tells me is there is still a big audience out there that is interested in the idea of a spectacle of a film.
Something you can only get at the theater, which 70 millimeter IMAX, that type of experience, that's the only place you can get it, right? Yep. I mean, 3D I think is played out. It's a novelty. It makes also a lot of people sick, and I'm one of them, right? I do not enjoy the 3D experience. But that is something special. So that will get people into the theaters. But I think that the next IMAX movie they'll just combine Tom Cruise and IMAX then or something, right? Think, well, this has got to be the secret formula. Which, by the way, I am not making fun. I love Tom Cruise and I love his movies. I just think this was not a particularly good one, and I think that it stuck out like a sore thumb going up against Barbie and Oppenheimer and performing the way it did against two films that should have been they should have been the other things coming out at around the same time of Mission Impossible, not. Oppenheimer and Barbie are doing really well. Also, yeah, Mission Impossible's there too. It kind of flipped things around. Very strange.
Yeah, it was very strange. And I'll make two more points because this intro is going a little long. But I will say that your comment about cheaper films that are less risk, I think that you have the production company A24 that is proving that.
Yep.
In spades right now.
Yeah, a lot of
No, I'm not saying the content.
No, right. They're doing a very particular type of movie.
Sure.
That lends itself to that. I think that we'll have to figure out how to spread that around other genres. But yeah, they make good movies, right? It just they haven't made a Van Damme movie yet, right? When they get around to that, the Van Damme Seagal buddy cop movie I've been waiting for.
That's the one.
Ooh, I should write that. I should have AI write that.
There you go.
Too lazy to do it myself.
So I think that the idea that you can take one Marvel movie, decide, you know what, we're not going to make this one. Instead, we're going to make 8 $30 million movies,
right,
and put those in theaters and see what comes out of it. I think that might be something we start to see in the industry. I hope so. And then the last thing I'll say to this point is, even though I haven't had a chance to see Oppenheimer, my daughter was in town and she wanted to go see Barbie. So we did as a family go see Barbie. Yeah. And the only showing that we could get tickets to was an afternoon showing that had closed caption enabled for people with disabilities.
Yeah.
Because that was the only tickets available.
It's that hot.
It's that hot.
It makes me glad to see that.
Yeah. So we went and saw it, and it was, I'm not convinced that I liked it, but the rest of my family really enjoyed it. And it is a very unique picture.
Yeah.
And the angle they took was not what I expected at all. And it was a very interesting movie. It was very well done. Props to Greta Gerwig. I think she did a fantastic job, not only on the scripting, but also the directing. And it's got some great jokes. There were a couple of times that I was just rolling out of my seat laughing. But is it going to be a golden age? I hope so.
Yeah.
But I think Coppola is blowing this one up a little bit.
Maybe he's doing that to sort of prime the pump for Megapolis. Megalopolis?
Yeah.
Megalopolis? How do you say it?
I honestly don't know. Megapolis, I believe.
Is that one of those like sci-fi direct movies about dinosaurs? Is that what this is going to be?
No. It's so the synopses that I've read of it are it's a pretty politically charged, not like modern politics, but like it's a political story about this fictional mega city. It sounds fascinating. I'm in, because every time Coppola says I'm going to do something that changes cinema, historically he's done it. So I'm interested to see, and maybe he is priming the pump, and maybe Megapolis will be the next Oppenheimer. Yeah. And maybe that'll continue it on, and maybe that'll just help kind of push this golden age idea. Because, man, you look back to like pre-Star Wars 1970s films, and you just, it's amazing movie after amazing movie after amazing movie. And I think back to when I was a kid in the mid 80s, it was just amazing movie after amazing movie after amazing movie. I'd love to get back to that, because something that I didn't know I was missing was the theater experience. And especially when COVID hit, I thought to myself, well, I got a big TV, I got a decent sound system. What do I need a theater for? And then as there have been movies coming out that we've wanted to go see as a family, I've refound my love of going to the theater. And so I want more reasons to go to the theater.
Yeah.